Hey everybody, thanks for joining us. You have clicked on the link to watch our RD435 demonstration that we're putting on this week. What we're going to be doing this demonstration is of playing cards. So during the changeover, what we did was we're going to put the playing card die on. We're going to watch that set up in just a second. What I do want to do first, though, is kind of set the groundwork for the demo. And you might have noticed that the comments, the question and answer section of the demonstration is turned off for these. The reason being is that I can see we have a lot of people currently logged into the demonstration, which is fantastic. We have end users, we have dealers, we have a lot of different people attending. So for the sake of time, we have turned that off, and we are going to try to address as many commonly asked questions as we can throughout the demo. If you have a question about your specific application, about the machine, something that we did not cover through the demo, we have a live line right now. The number for that line is 888-202-5579. You can call that anytime this week. During the demo, after the demo, we have a team of operators standing by, taking calls, answering questions specifically for you. So that's kind of the setup for the demo. With that said, let's go ahead and get started. Like I did mention, what we are running today, this is a design of playing cards. So it's a front and back printed 13 by 19 sheet. While I got it up here, on each of these sheets, you can see in the top corner here is a black registration mark. That mark will need to be printed on every sheet and is used in our machine for alignment and consistency of cut. So we'll talk more about that in a little bit here as we go through the machine, but I just wanted to show you what we're going to be running today for this particular demo. So with that said, let's go ahead and turn our focus to the machine itself. What I want to do is go through each of the components of the machine, kind of break it down a little bit and explain how paper flows through the machine, how it's fed through the machine, and really how the machine works as a whole. So I'm going to go ahead and get Brian to kind of come in, and we'll get a different camera angle going here, and we'll kind of walk through each of these components. So you can see the pile feeder. We have an 8-inch pile feed capacity, so you're going to be able to run quite a bit of paper there in one shot. You're going to be, if we can get a close-up under here, there is a pile feed retarder system in the very back top of the system here that you can see, virtually eliminating double feeds. There's also slots that you can see where my finger's at. Those are adjustable airflow to get the sheet separation that you're looking for. Brian, if you want to pull back just a second, we have two knobs on the outside here. The one on the right is for the adjustment height of your paper retard system. The one on the left over here is for the airflow adjustability. Moving on down through the machine, we can kind of look through here. We do have a ultrasonic double sheet detection sensor right there. So from 6 sensors coming out of Germany, really high-end double sheet detection system, eliminating double sheets completely. Once the paper flows past that, it does enter the registration table and the marble rack for alignment. Looking down through there, the registration mark sensor is what you can see there in your screen. This sensor right here is responsible for reading the registration mark that will be printed on each of your sheets. The registration mark sensor and that mark work in conjunction with each other as a timing mechanism as to when that paper gets released into the cylinder to be cut, and it also accounts for any print drift from leading to trail edge of the paper. All right. Stop real quick right here. We're going to come back to this in a second, but this is the brain of the machine. This is our HMI. This is the main user panel for the operator that they're going to be setting the bulk of their time, setting up jobs and running jobs. Coming to the very back of the machine here, we'll start up here on the top with our adjustable pressure gauges. These really come in handy for maximizing the range of paper that you're able to use. So with that said, a die, you only need one die for paper ranging from anywhere from 100-pound text. You can use the same die from 100-pound text all the way up to 160-pound double thick cover. Just simply by applying more or less pressure to the actual cylinder itself will allow you to cut thicker or thinner material with the same die. So you get a lot more out of one die. You can see right here is our upper magnetic cylinder. It does have a die on there already, which we'll look at in more detail later. But it does have a release lining foam that you can see here as well. The upper die is a magnetic cylinder that the die actually adheres to, and it is compressed against a lower anvil cylinder, a solid anvil cylinder. What you're looking at right here is the stripping mechanism that will divert the scrap down into a waste bin or any kind of receptacle below, and on the conveyor itself will come just your finished pieces. So it's a fully stripping mechanism for easy collection by your operator. On the conveyor itself, you can see there's an on-off switch just for continuous run with adjustability for how fast or slow you want those pieces to come out. All right, so with that said, just to kind of recap, that is the machine in a nutshell. What we're going to go ahead and do now is we're actually going to set up a job and show you the machine. So Brian, if you want to come over here real quick and look at the HMI with me, let's go into this a little bit more in detail. So that looks perfect there. So let's just kind of go through this button by button. As you can see, at a quick glance, it's really intuitive. There's really not a lot of complicated screens that you need to navigate through. Your operator is going to spend 95% plus of their time on this single screen. It's really an all-inclusive screen as to how to operate the machine. So across the top, you can see the different varying ways of how you feed. So the first one is your feed single sheet. So pretty self-explanatory. You hit that, it's going to feed one sheet. To your right, you have feed auto. Now when you hit feed auto, there's going to be two ways that it runs. If your batch mode is turned off, your feed auto will cause the machine to run continuous, and it'll run and run and run until there's no more paper in the pile feeder. If your batch mode is turned on, however, which you can see currently it is, if your batch mode is turned on, it will default to whatever you have as your batch setup. So we're going to set up a batch here in just a second and show you how this works, but let's go through the rest of the buttons here. On the left, you have your elevator up and down for loading paper. You have your paper jog. This is primarily used for setting up the machine to get your die cut lines and your paper to match up with your print design, is what the paper jog is for. Your cut adjust here at the bottom, this is something that gets used quite a bit during setup, and it really is for fine tuning to get your print to match your die file, the dies that they send to you. So if you need to move your cut back or forward or whatever you need, it's done right here with your cut adjust. Down the middle here, you got your feed roller release. Again, that's another setup feature. Your feed speed right in the middle, we have it at it's a percentage. We have it at 100% speed right now. Your cylinder home button, that is a button that you're going to want to hit just at the start of it. Every time you turn the machine on, you need to hit that button once and only once. And what that does is it makes the magnetic cylinder find its home position. And from then on out, it knows exactly where the cylinder home is. And without getting into too much detail with it, it just basically allows you to have super accurate cuts and consistent cuts by finding the home. Moving over to the right here, you have your batch setup, your batch area. So let's go ahead and actually get a batch set up and watch the machine run. So you can see right now your batch is on. It's a simple on-off button, so we'll leave it on there. Number of sheets, let's go 4 sheets. So we have 4 sheets to a deck of cards. So we'll do 4 sheets, and then we'll do 3 batches. So we'll do 3 decks of cards here. So 4 sheets, 3 batches, and then your batch delay. Your batch delay is exactly how many seconds. It's a numeric value of how many seconds you want of a paused break between your batches. So we have it at, right now we have it at 10, 15 seconds. We'll go 15 seconds between our batches and go from there. So 4 sheets, 3 batches, 15-second delay. So let's go ahead and just kind of recap what we're going to do here real quick. We have our playing cards. It's 4 sheets to a full deck of cards. We already have the pile feeder loaded up. We just put that batch into the system, and we're going to knock out 3 decks of cards, showing the full operation of the machine and seeing the stripping and everything else work as we go through those batches. So let's go ahead and kick it over to a different camera angle, and I'm going to have our marketing team actually walk through the operation so you can see the paper flow through the machine. All right, so let's go ahead and we're going to hit feed here. And we're going to see that pile feeder come up in a position. Brian's going to kind of follow along with the paper as it feeds through. We're running batches of 4. And you can see the scrap is being diverted down. And that is our first 15-second delay there. And here comes our second batch, our second deck. And that is the second deck of cards right there. 15-second delay. Turn that up a little bit. And that is the end of our deck of cards. So we just did 3 decks of cards with a 15-second delay. And we'll go ahead through here, collect these. We're going to turn this off. And there we go. So 3 decks of cards, just that quickly, and there you go. So makes quick work of it. You can see the scrap being diverted down, the cards coming out of the table. There's the amount of adjustability between your timing of your batches and the speed is something that you and your operator will work out. But the machine runs very well, feeds very well, strips very well, as you saw. And again, I want to kind of point out, start to finish, you start with your deck of cards, your sheet of cards. The skeleton is what comes out, or it gets diverted down. And then you end with your deck of cards onto the conveyor. So pretty slick rotary die cutting. In essence, that is rotary die cutting in a nutshell. For digital print, whatever you can dream up or whatever you can design, you can have a die made to cut that exact thing with that machine and cut out your pieces that way. So with that said, I do want to talk a little bit more about the dies. We get a lot of questions about the dies. How do I design a die? How do I order a die? How do I go through that process? So we do have a couple different dies over here. I'll show you one without the release lining foam. You can see they are a thin piece of metal is all they are. And on the die itself, you can see where my finger is over here, there's the die cut line to cut the pieces out. Now obviously this is not of a playing card, this is actually of a postcard or a Christmas card, which we'll be running a demo on later on. But the dies themselves are made by an outside company. In the United States, there's 4 or 5 big players in the industry. We have partnered with a company called Impact Dies up in South Bend, Indiana, just about a half an hour north of us. Fantastic customer service. They really, really take the time to walk you through the process of what they need, how to order a die to get you going. So And obviously here at Martin Yale, we are a resource as well for you to make those introductions and to get you going. We understand that the die ordering process at the beginning may not be something you're familiar with, but rest assured we're going to take care of you and make sure that we make those introductions to you. So, kind of following along in the same vein with that, I do want to take you back to the back of the machine again here and show you the die and how to remove the die off the back of the machine. And we'll kind of look at that because we do get a lot of questions about that as well. So Brian, if you want to come back over here, I'm going to slide by you here, and I need to hit that emergency stop. There is an emergency stop that does need to be pressed before you'll be able to move this cylinder. So you can see this cylinder moving right here. This is a 350, 400 pound cylinder, very, very heavy, but with relative ease, you can move that back and forth. And on the die, I don't know if you'll be able to pick it up on there, but you can see the leading and the trail gap between the leading and trail edge of the die. To remove the die and break the magnetism, all you need to do is take a die removing tool like this, which comes with the machine, slide it underneath the die itself, and with the other hand, you're kind of do a kind of a pull and twist action, and then the die comes off. So just like that, you can take the die off of the machine. All right, so a total die changeover, 2 to 3 minutes tops. To replace the die, it's the exact same process in return. There are guide pins along the top of the die here. There's 3 of them that correspond with holes on the cylinder itself, and you would place pins in the cylinder and put the die on, get it started, and then pull those pins out, wrap the die around just as easily as I just took it off, and then you just replace that die. It has perfect registration every time. Very, very simple process to do. So that is the machine in a nutshell, the RD435 rotary die cutter, perfect for digital print environments. Walked you through the machine section by section, and talked a little bit about the dies as well. So guys, I really do want to appreciate you joining us today and tuning in. If you have any questions, which I'm sure some of you are going to have, I really encourage you to call our toll-free number, 888-202-5579. Like I said, we do have people standing by right now to get those questions answered for you, whether it's machine specific or your application specific. I encourage you to call that number and we'll get you taken care of. Appreciate you guys tuning us. We're going to get set up for our next demo, running a different job. So if you want to hang tight, we'll be back in just a few minutes. If not, we'll see you later. Appreciate you guys tuning in.